Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm showing you guys how to braid like me. I've gotten a lot of questions about how I get my hair braided like this. It's so simple. It's a really good protective style. It can last a couple days depending on how you take care of it. So if you want to see how I get all this done, oh man, my fingernails, man. It's so much easier to do your hair with short fingernails, especially if you're going to braid, that I decided that I was not going to get my nails done until I made this video. So in the meantime, I'm walking around looking like a crazy person. Anyways, without further ado, if you want to see how I got this done, you can stay tuned. So this is what my hair looks like before I start to braid it. I usually like to start on my hair when it's been washed and greased, when my scalp has been greased. I do not like too much product on the actual hair itself because then it kind of weighs down the hair and the braids are not as thick as if, you know, it wasn't as heavy. So then I go in with my rat tail comb and I try to get as straight apart as I can. It doesn't always work out. In fact, it rarely works out, but I'll do that off camera to save time and I'll come right back. So now that I've managed to part my hair into two, I don't believe it's part straight, but you know what? It doesn't really matter because nobody's gonna be looking at your part when your braids are all sexy and stuff. So you wanna take one and put it into a rubber band, a ponytail, whatever you have at your fingertips, and then you want to start on one side of the head. So you want to make sure that there has been no tangling. If it's been tangled, you want to gently detangle the tangled parts. Now usually for me, the middle towards the back of my head is a little bit more coarse, so it tangles a little bit more quickly. But once I can get that detangled, then I'm ready to go. So that's all the way detangled now. And I'm ready to go. The first thing I do is to go in with my Eco Styler gel. This is the one with the argan oil, and I just kind of go around the edges of my hair and the front. The reason I don't put it anywhere else is because it can tend to get a little bit flaky, and all I want to really secure is the front, because the technique that I use usually pulls up the back of the hair really nicely. So once that's in, I would layer the edges however I want. So usually I don't really do a lot with the front of my hair, so I'm not gonna do much now anyway, but you can lay them however you feel or however you please. Then once that's done, you make sure that you take 3 pieces of hair from the very front of your head. So you want to take, actually this will be a little bit easier. You want to take a little piece of hair like this and you want to separate it into 3. This is going to be the base of your braid. You want to separate it like that. So you want to be holding each strand like this. To begin the braid, you're going to put this, your right hand, well, it depends on if you're right or left-handed, but I use my right hand and I take my index finger and I put it underneath the middle braid, and then I grab the left braid, and then I take the middle braid now, and then it moves over to the left side, and then I take my left index finger and I put it under the middle braid. And all the while I'm doing that, I'm sweeping with my pinky finger a little bit at the time upwards. Okay, so you're gonna start again taking my right index finger, putting it under the middle, grabbing the left, and then I'm gonna continue on like that. Again, I'm sweeping with the little pinky, and I'm just gonna continue on. Once you have the base sorted, it's gonna be quite easy from there. you just have to keep doing the same motion that I said earlier. So I sweep with my pinky finger and I keep going. See, that way you have some nice laid edges and you have braids that, well, you have a braid. Usually what I do is plait a little ways to the back and then I come down to the side of my head because I want my braid to kind of be a little bit more on the side of my head. Now, when I get to the middle part of my head where it's a little bit more thick, what I do is I hold the hair like this still, but then I do like that. Just because it becomes a little too much to drag up with the pinky finger. And I do the same thing at the top. Okay, so it's important to know that sometimes when you have hair that may be a little bit more coarse, you might have to stop a little ways and you might have to comb out, or you might have to take your detangling brush and just do like that, because what we want is for the braids to remain smooth. So I'm gonna continue along doing that. Every time you put your hands under there, make sure that you're detangling as you go along, because the more hair you're starting to braid, the more you may the more tangled it may become. And then you just go ahead and so after the first braid has been complete, you want to get starting on the second section. So you want to, especially if you've used a rubber band, you want to gently take that out of your hair because you don't want any of your hair being popped out with the rubber band. You're going to repeat the process on this side. So again, I'm going to go in with my Eco Styler gel and I'm just going to go around the edges of my hair because again, I just want to make sure that it's laid properly and I do have a really good foundation for when I begin braiding my hair. So once that's done, I'm gonna take my rat tail comb and I'm just going to, as I said before, I don't do a lot with my edges or my little baby hairs or whatever you want to call them, just because you know, if I want to do something, it's usually maybe on day 2 of this hairstyle where I would just pull out some and just do a little something, but not really generally on the first day. So again, I'm gonna section out for you newbies, new beginners. You want to section out just a little section of the front of your hair. You want to part it into 3 equal or as equal parts as you can get, like this. You have 1 strand in your left hand and then your right hand, well, I guess depending on again which hand you are or you write with or you use most often will determine where you hold what. So I'm right-handed, so naturally I hold 2 of these strands in my right hand. So for this one, I'm going to start with my left hand though. I'm going to go up under the middle and then I'm going to pull the right one like that. And then I'm going to do the same. Excuse my fingernails. I know that they're awful, but when I'm doing braids, I have to have short fingernails. And then I'm going to go back under. So we're just repeating this process again, going under. And again, I'm using my little pinky finger to sweep the hair up and through. this is gonna take some practice, guys, so don't be alarmed if you don't get it on the first go, but it's very important to keep trying and always use a mirror. That's what I am doing right now. As I said, because of how my hairline is, for me, it makes more sense for me to go back a little bit, or at least this is how I like it. I go back a little bit and then I come down towards the side of my head. Now that I'm getting closer to the middle, I want to start using my thumb to kind of bring the hair on through, as opposed to my little pinky, because now I have a lot more hair to pull. And you just do that piece by piece. If you have really thick hair, the strands that you're pulling, you want to make sure that they are tiny strands that you're pulling, like so. Like tiny strands that you're pulling, like so. I'm just gonna Now when you're done, what you want to do is to make sure all of your hair is sitting flat. You can achieve this by, well, yeah, by doing one of two things, or you can do both. You can go in with a little bit of Eco Styler or any gel. You want to make sure it doesn't flake, which is why I'm kind of resistant to the gel or using a lot of it. Or you can just get a hair tie and tie your hair down tight. And it'll just lay flat. For the purposes of this video though, I'm gonna go in a little bit with some Eco Styler right here at the top and kind of just bring that around so that my hair is flat. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Try to avoid using too much of it, just because when you put your head tie on, it can kind of help a lot with this. Now that I'm done, I usually just go back in a little bit with the Eco Styler and kind of clean up around the front a little bit, and I'm done, but not quite done, because I still have to put on my head tie and make sure that it's laid properly. So before I do that, let me just let you see the finished product. This. Gonna be like this. If you have made it to the end of the video, it must mean that you like it. So give it a thumbs up and subscribe. If you don't subscribe, you're just being mean. Like, if you don't like my video and if you don't subscribe, you're just being plain old mean.